everyone, and welcome to my mid-year WIP Parade. If you're new here, my name's Becca, and this is Becca is Stitching here and on Instagram. A mid-year WIP Parade is where I'm going to go through everything that I've worked on this year and where we are at with it now. So I have a video up. My first video is a WIP Parade that I did at the very beginning of January. And we will go through all the progress that I have made since then. I know WIP parades tend to bring some new people in, and as we're halfway through the year, a little intro about me. I'm 31, I live in Northern Virginia, DC-ish area. I have a husband and we have two animals. So we have our dog, Daphne. I'll put some pictures up of the babies. And my cat, Diana. Diana loves to interrupt me, and she just assumes that when I'm talking, I must be talking to her. So, I mean, she's already currently rubbing up against my leg, so I'm sure she will make herself known shortly. But yeah, so WIP is if you're new to the crafty world in general, a WIP is a work in progress. Here she is. Yes. Right here. Always just in the way. Always. Maybe that will have annoyed her enough that she'll go away now. Either way, so WIP is a work in progress. I can't remember now if I said that or not, but how I'll be going through all of the works in progress that I have right now. I'm going to go through chronologically from when I started them to most recent starts. So I will have up also, if I started it before this year, I will have a picture of the finished product, and I will have a picture of what it looked like at the beginning of the year. If it is finished and I made no changes, I won't include a picture of what the pattern looked like. I'll just include what it looks like now. So with that, I think we can just jump right in and get through all of the WIPs. I didn't count, so I will put a counter up because this is everything I've worked on-ish. So I have had a couple works in progress that I've put in vacation that I'm not currently working on. I think it's only two, but I did include those because they have been started. So I'm including them in the work in progress count. And I don't even know if I included one in my first WIP parade, but I did not include the other one, I don't think. But that's okay. So first up on the agenda is of my biggest project, my oldest project, and the project that will definitely take me the longest to finish. Probably. So I will just I'll put it up where it was in January, what it's going to look like. And this is Farewell to Lothlorien. So this is art by Alexandra V. Bach, and it was charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I no longer purchase Heaven and Earth Designs charts. I don't support the use of AI designs in place of real artists. And I know she still does chart real artists, but so many of these full coverage design companies are putting more of their business model relying on that AI imaging, and that's all I'll say about that. But this is a Heaven and Earth Designs chart. It's a regular size and max color, so there's about 250-ish colors in here. And let's see. And we'll just show it now. So this is where I am at. Looks stunning. So I started this on July 29th of 2022. This is the last one I have from 2022. And this is, okay, so I'm stitching this 1/1. So one thread over one thread of the fabric. And this is a 28 count lamb's wool Jobelin. So this was before I knew gridded fabrics existed. So I did grid this myself, and here's the whole fabric. So it's going to be very, very large, of course. I'm not quite, I'm not at halfway yet, but you know, slowly but surely. So this is currently sitting at 150,000 stitches, struggling with the magnets. 150,000 stitches, nope, 161,000 stitches. 800. This is currently sitting at 161,808 stitches. It is at 39 point, what does that say? 62%. And this year I have done 11,673 stitches. So yeah, oh, it's looking so, so good. I'm not mainly a full coverage stitcher, but it is just so stunning. Just up close. And you can see through a teeny tiny bit where it gets really, really dark to this lighter fabric. But when A, from any sort of distance, you cannot tell. And B, when I go to wash it, because I will wash it, this is all DMC floss, it should fluff up a little bit, and I'm anticipating some of those, like, some of that see-through will close up. I mean, you have this raven on the bird bath, the stairs, and you have this. Oh, it's looking so, so good. And just for funsies, you can see the chaos that is the back of this chart. There you go. Ooh, there you go. Doesn't look too bad, but I mean, you get up close and you're like, whew. You can tell where there's a lot of color changes happening, like right in there with the candles or the lanterns or whatever they are. But yeah, so that's farewell to Lothlorien. And this one I stitch, I guess I will say this stuff too. So I'm stitching this, I stitch how I'm approaching this full coverage to not get any lines as I'm working on it. I'm kind of doing a mix between Royal Rose, cross country, and the typewriter method. So I'm working for the most part in, so we have our 10 by 10 squares, right? I'm doing 10 of those by 10 of them at a time. So I leave this in the Q-snap until I'm done with that, essentially 10,000 stitches. And I work it each column at a time. So a column of 10 by 10 blocks. So right now I'm in this column and I've already done this column in this 10 by 10 block. And I do park, obviously, it's a little bit chaotic. And I do jagged the edges of it again, so I don't get any lines by sticking in those 10 by 10 blocks. And how I work it is I pull, you know, the first stitch with first color within that block that I haven't done yet, and then I put that in and I work that all the way down the column as far as I can get it. And then I'll either end it or park it. And I'm not like super strict, right? Like if there was one stitch over here in this column and that was the only stitch in that column, I would go over and get that stitch before continuing down here. And I'm working the blocks like this. So I started over here, did this and this. I think I did 2 at a time here, working my way down, but now I'm back to just one 10 by 10 and I'm gonna go all the way down here. Again, we're really close to 40%. I'm definitely gonna hit that here soon-ish, I think, within the next month or two. So that's exciting. Again, that's a huge, huge piece and it takes a lot to see any progress, but about 40% in, it looks just incredible. Okay, so the next piece is one that is technically on vacation mode, we will say. So this is Winter Cabin. I guess we'll just hold the whole thing up quick first. So it's gonna take up, I'm about a quarter of the way done with the stitching. There will be back stitching in this one. But this is, the art is by the McNeil Studio, and it's a Dimensions Gold collection kit. So how I work my kits is I only work on one Dimensions, like one kit type at a time. So I'll have one Dimensions, one Merejka, one Luca-S, just at a time. And I did start this, and that was before I decided to do all of the stockings that I'm doing, and we'll get to that. So this one did end up on hold, and we'll see how long I keep it on hold because I just love it, but I have a pretty aggressive schedule with other Dimensions collections, so we'll see where we get to. I always swap out the kit fabric for something else. So in this case, I switched it out with a 16 count Country French Rain Aida. And of course, all the other like called for fabric or flosses and stuff. Man, even without backstitching, Dimensions kits just look so good. And yes, I have no progress on this one, but man, it's delightful. Dimensions of this are 240 by 160 high. So it's about 38,400 stitches. And I think it is, because I'm pretty sure it's absolutely full coverage, which some of them aren't, but this one will be. Yeah, I mean, those birch trees, oh my God. So hard to put that one away. Oh, and I started that one on November 19th, 2023. Okay, so this is my last 2023 project. I only had the 2 from 2023, 1 from 2022. I started this on December 31st of 2023. So right at the tail end there. This is Bellatrix by Bella Filipina. And I'm stitching her on 32 count Jamie's Kilt by Fabrics by Stephanie. It is, I think, my absolute favorite fabric I've ever worked on. It's so pretty. And I haven't gotten much progress on her. Dimensions of this are 185 wide by 300 tall. And I'm just having a few issues reading the chart itself. A couple of the symbols look very, very similar. The lines denoting like those 10 by 10 blocks are indistinguishable from the lines of the rest of the chart. So I'm having a bit of a hard time figuring out where the heck I am in the pattern. But her full face is done. Her chest is done. I'm getting into her bodice. I'm gonna start trying to finish her arms here next time I pull this up. It's just not my favorite thing to work on, which is unfortunate because I love the end product. And I'd rather, if I'm gonna choose a fancy lady to stitch on, I choose my other one 9 times out of 10. But yeah. So that's that one. Not too much progress on it. Nothing much to say really. She's looking good. Okay, so my next one is one that I have since finished. I started this on January 7th of 2024, and I finished it on January 11th of this year. So right after the new year. I had hoped to finish it last year, but I had to get the back stitching done. But this is Christmas Sled Stocking. And this is a Dimensions Gold collection kit. So for my stockings, I have my mom, my dad, I have 2 sisters and their husbands, and I would like to do a stocking for everybody. I do have a new nephew, so we'll see how that fits into the plans going forward. And this is the only one I have fully done so far. I did swap out the fabric for this one to a 32 count Dove Lugana by Zweigart. And I chose the Lugana for this one because it's even and because there is some unstitched parts of this chart. Not much, but like, and there's some down here in the snow. Not a ton, but enough that I didn't want to use an Ida because I don't love how that looks. Finish the holes in, for me and what I want my finished products to look like, I think the holes just look too big for the finish I'm going for. Yeah, man, it looks so good. Just kind of want to like go through it quickly. So we have the name, the geese. This is a metallic blend here. I don't know if that's gonna show up really well, but there are a couple beads in here too. These are beads. Oh, I did swap out those beads for a Mill Hill? Yeah, a Mill Hill bead instead. I actually stole those from my last project's kit. They're just some gold beads that were much better than the cheap plastic ones that came with the kit, in my opinion. And I already had them, so it was a really easy swap. Yeah. Oh, it looks so good. I love Dimensions kits. I'm a big kit person. I just think the result is just so fantastic, and the detail in them is perfect, and you don't have to have 400,000 stitches to get the same level of detail, which can be nice. You get a few more things finished in your time. Jeez, I have a hair. Okay, yeah, so that was 164 wide by 272 tall. Of course, not fully filled in because of the shape of the stocking. Finished dimensions are 10 inches at its widest part by 16.5 inches. Just in case you wanted to know. Okay, so next up we have my favorite fancy lady that I'm currently working on. So this is Winter Queen by Mirabilia. I started this on February 1st of 2024. I love her so much. I'm stitching her on 32 count balsam fir linen by Fabrics by Stephanie. So it's this nice kind of bluey green. And I really think she just pops right off of that fabric, which is what I was looking for. And there are some greens in her headdress and right over here that do kind of blend in, but I'm okay with that because the whole goal of this piece, like doing it on the green, was to kind of like image of her in like an evergreen forest, like in the winter. So I'm okay with the greens falling in a little bit, but I think the purples, which based on the picture, I didn't even expect to be in there. I think those are popping off this fabric too, which is good. Everything from here up is fully cross-stitched. So all of these empty spaces that you see up here in the crown, those are all going to be beaded, and I bead everything at the end. Let's see. Oh, I did do her skin 1/1. I don't know if I'll do that again. If I'm going to be completely honest, I don't know if it's worth the effort for me personally. Let's see, what else? Of course, 2/2. Yeah, so at the beginning of the year, I really only had like her head done. So I've done all of this so far this year, and really all that's left is kind of easy stitching at this point. There's not too many colors in there, and it's more black color than not. So that will go a little bit faster than the top went. And she's just so pretty. I love her. I love Royal Holiday. There are several Miras that I really, really want to stitch. So I want to get one fully done. I've done a Nora Corbett before, but this is my first full Mirabilia design. And she's so pretty. We'll just bring her up quickly. And you can see in her face, this is why when you bring it up close, I think the 1/1 stitching really emphasizes that checkerboard appearance. From a distance, it's fine. So like, obviously I'm not gonna go back and like rip it out, but you can really see like the checkerboard effect, which if you'd done the full cross over that, it would have blended better, but I think there's such a harsh line because of those 1/1 stitches. And I know some people have like done like almost like 3/4 stitches to like ease that line a bit. And I didn't really think about that until after it was fully done. And again, I am not ripping out 1/1 skin. It's fine. Oh, so pretty. So from here on out, you'll probably see cuts in between each whip. I just kind of think that's gonna be easier so I can like set it up so it looks nice and I'm not fumbling on camera, because I feel like the fumbling is just gonna add like a half an hour to this full whip parade. So we're just gonna hopefully avoid that a little bit. And if it's a little bit choppy, I'm sorry, but I'd rather it be a little choppy than you just sit here with me in silence for like ever. So next up is Mother Nature's Spring. So this is a design by Stitchora. This is a whole series. This series came out in Just Cross Stitch magazine in 2023. So the spring one is in the April magazine. Yeah, that's how I want to say that. I'm stitching her on 32 count antique white Jobelin. Just very simple. This is the second one in the series I've done, so I've already done winter. And I'm going in order. So there's one for every season, plus one for Halloween, plus one for Christmas. If you want to see bits and pieces of all of them, I know Jen the Caffeinated Crafter has all of them except Autumn started. I'm starting them one at a time. I started her February 18th of 2024. Now let's see, this year I've done a lot of this. So I had some of this in here, but I finished this. Everything above the water, including the water, is done. So there are some blank spots in the water that like this branch crosses over into water, so I haven't gotten that fully stitched in, but everything here and up is done. Of course, except for back stitching. So these designs are heavily back stitched, which is leading them to also be heavily like confetti, because it's relying a lot on the back stitch to make the shapes out of just a couple colors, which I love the effect of, because she's a pretty small design, but she's very, very detailed. I have a little bit of that back stitching here in and throughout her hair and her face. I mainly did the face because if you're relying so heavily on backstitch for a design like this, she tends to look a little creepy until you get that backstitch in for the face. So really all I have left to do is here down, and I'm approaching the bottom of the design, I believe. So like here up is really all I have left, and then it will be backstitching, which isn't bad. Again, she just goes a little bit slower because of how much color changing there is within her design. She's so pretty, and I love her too. I kind of consider her a fancy lady. Like I do, but I don't, right? Because she's not a Bella, she's not a Mira, she's not a Lavender and Lace, but I mean, she's pretty fancy. She's just small. Okay, so next up, what I started next, I started this on May 8th. I finished it on May 8th of 2024, and I finished it May 28th of this year. This is Hobbit House by Cottage Garden Samplings. So I stitched this is fully done now. I stitched this on 40 count linen on thin ice by Live and Dye LA. I have a lot of Live and Dye LA fabrics. This is just a nice soft blue color, very grayish. 1/2, so one thread over 2 linen threads. This is part of the Fabulous Houses series by Cottage Garden Sampling, so this is number 5. They released one every month last year, plus a bonus chart at the end. This is the first one I finished, not the first I plan to do. I have all of them. And I did make a couple changes on this one. Oh yeah, at the beginning of the year, I really didn't have that much done. I had the tree done, and I had parts of like the roofs here filled in, but really I've done everything else since. And I love Cottage Garden pieces. I think, to me, they're very like intuitive to stitch, and I just really enjoy them. Like, it doesn't require too much of my brain power to stitch these. I did make a few changes because I wanted to brighten up some of the colors. So in the flowers and these like floral motifs here, I swapped out what was supposed to be this color, this, I think that was 8, and I swapped it in for a yellow, which you can really only see the yellow in this one, and otherwise it kind of fades into the background when you compare it to that pink. But that color is 676. And then the pigs were supposed to be a very, 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 very pale pink, which you can see in the image here. They basically just completely disappear. So I pumped those pigs up quite a bit to a very pink, a pink pig color, and I love it. So that is now, so I switched it from 819 to 3354. And the final dimensions of this ended up being about 6 inches square on the 40 count, and it was 120 by 120. It's so good, it's so cute. Okay, next up, I do have like my notebooks. I'm very much keep flipping back to that. Okay, so next up we have, I need this. I've already started throwing things just absolutely everywhere, apparently. My next piece is from Carolyn Manning Designs. This is part of the Shooting Star collection. She has several different collections that are very similar to this, just different color schemes. This is Morrigan. She's got a lot of other types too. She has a Shooting Star collection, Broken Star collection, and then she's got some that are not full coverage. This is full coverage. So I'm stitching this 18 count, 2/1. All the called for colors, of course, because that's the whole point of these designs is the color. So this is 191 stitches by 191. So it will be 36,481 stitches at the end of it. I started the year at 3,688, so 10.11%. I'm currently at 5,783 stitches for 15.85%. So I've added about 2,095 stitches to this, and I started this May 9th of 2024. So slowly but surely, she's got so many ones that I want to do once this is done someday. But it's nice, it's very easy, and I think because it's so easy, it can get a little repetitive, which is why I don't choose to work on this one that often. But I will be very happy once I have the finished piece at the end. Next up is another kit. So this is Vase with Hydrangeas. This is a Luca-S kit. I started this on my birthday last year, so I started this May 12th of 2024. This is everything from the kit. This is still on the Nerd hoop, and it will remain there until it is fully complete. Sorry, the weather outside is a lot of clouds going through, but also very sunny, so the lighting is just going to be changing a lot. Okay, what was I saying? Everything in the kit, this staying in the hoop, because this is a very, like, I don't know if you can really tell, but it is a very thick, very stiff, like, canvas material. 25 count. Stitching this 2/1 half cross, and that is what is called for. So this is one of their petite point kits. You can get this kit also in like a 16 or 18 count Ida as well, but it will fit perfectly within this nerd. So I'm just gonna leave it because I don't want these, and A, it's a bear to get in and out of here, B, I don't want the ends or the edges of this fabric to really erode too much because it is a kit, and they do give you pretty good margins, but I don't want to risk it. So the dimensions for this are 200 by 210. So about 42,000 stitches. So with a Luca-S kit, and I found this out this year, you can reach out to the company, and many of the kit companies allow you to do this or will give you this, but if you reach out to them with proof that you own the kit, they will send you a PDF. So I don't have the numbers for the beginning of the year, but I did get the PDF and I did put it into Pattern Keeper, And so we are at 8,364 stitches. So for 19.91%, so very close to 20%. I'll just bring that up close because that detail is just incredible. It's looking so, so good. I have the first page almost done. So this is the first page, and that is almost complete at this point. Just very exciting. And actually this one just got called for my temperature stitching, so I'll be pulling it out this week. Okay, next up is probably my saddest start, and it's one of my favorite designs, so that makes me sad a little bit. This is another kit. So I was going through and I'm still trying to get through, you know, the major kit companies that are out there. So I've done Dimensions so far, Luca-S, and this is a Merejka kit. And, you know, again, assuming that's how you say it. So I did swap out the fabric for this one from a 16 count white Ida to a 36 count linen. This was a March 2024 fabric of the month from Live and Dye LA. And everything is called for still. So, you know, 2/2 or whatever is called for. There are blends. So I had to keep it, you know, 32, 36 count. I started this June 16th of last year. Again, you can see I have not gotten much progress in this one, but it's a little bit of progress. I'm kind of keeping it here because I have on my WIP Go board something that's a sad start, and honestly at this point I just intend to bring this one out for 3 days for that. The dimensions of this are 166 by 220. That's really it. Again, not much progress, not much work done, so not a whole lot to say. I do love the Merejka kits patterns. So they have 2 different like physical patterns that come with the kit. They have one without the backstitch on it and one with the backstitching on it, which I just absolutely love, because then you're not worried about, at least how I do it is I highlight as I go if I'm working on a paper pattern for the most part, especially a kit like that. So when you do that, I have to create like a second, like a copy of that chart if I'm highlighting it, because otherwise I'm covering over the back stitching. But in this one, you can just go off the one chart and then you switch to the other chart for the back stitching, which I think is just, it's like a small detail, because you're just printing out like 1 or 2 more pages. And it's so effective in how easy it is to actually stitch the chart itself. So that's something. Okay, so the next thing is another finish. This is Dragon or Mythical Mare, I believe. Mythical Mare Dragon / Kelpie is, I think, the full title of this one. It comes with 2 versions. It comes with the Dragon version, which is what I did, and a Kelpie version where it doesn't include the wings and the border goes all the way around. So this is by Need a Lot Designs. I love Need a Lot Designs. Iris is just such a talented designer. Her colors are just always outstanding. I stitched this on 32 count sand linen by Picture This Plus. Dimensions are 130 by 151. Final dimensions are about 8 1/4 by 9 1/2 tall. Let's see, I did make a couple changes. So overall, this was 7,228 stitches. At the beginning of the year, I was about 43% done with 3,113. Obviously, I have since finished it. I did make a few changes. Oh, right, I started this June 17th of 2024 and I finished it April 28th of 2025. Okay, changes. So the called for dragon has hooves here, which makes sense for the Kelpie in my mind, but I think my dragon needed talons. So I kind of took the design of these up here on the wings and I attached them to the hooves and took away like that harsh black line for the hoof and kind of just continued on with the patterning of what the dragon skin was. And the other change is this border here. That was called for DMC, one of those color, variegated colors from DMC. That was 4523. I switched it to 4515. So the called for was just more pink. And this is more, so it was like a lighter brown, pink, blue, and this is more blues and browns. Just a small change, but I liked it. So he's done. Man, prepping for a whip parade takes some time, let me tell you. Okay, so next up is Within a Dream. So this is by the Artsy Housewife. And this is on 46 count Wild Mint by Atomic Ranch. It is such a stunning fabric. The modeling is very intense, but not overpowering because it's modeling between very similar colors. At least in my opinion. I think it looks so beautiful. I love this design. It's so striking. And let's see. Okay, so I started this July 6th of last year. This is now currently available, but it was at the time only a Patreon release. At the beginning of the year, I had 4,329 stitches in this for 22%. I now have 45,961 stitches for 30.35%. So I've added 1,632 stitches into this design this year. Dimensions are 103 by 273, so I have reached the halfway point, which is about here, I think. So she's tall. Let's see, what else do I have to say about this? Okay, so the called for. I don't use Weeks Dye Works threads. I know they have changed their Confederate gray colorway to just gray. That's, you know, a different thing. It took them a really long time. I'm still seeing a lot of Confederate gray in stores, and personally, I don't love their flosses anyway, so it was not hard to not use Weeks threads. So I switched out. So when I was at the store, I went to InStitches, my local needlework store, my LNS, and I looked through the ones that were called for, and if they were variegated, I found a comparable variegated thread. I think from Gentle Arts is mainly what I chose instead of the Weeks, and if it was not variegated, I just went with the DMC. So if you're dying for a list of what I'm using, I can get it to you, but right now I just don't have that information readily available in my brain. So yeah, it's looking really, really good. I love it. It's so macabre and just lovely. I mean, this border is just so intense and intricate and takes a while, but it looks so gorgeous. And next up, I'm wondering what the count is, because again, I did not look beforehand, which I probably should have. Okay, so next up is my other full coverage piece. I mean, I have like kit full coverage pieces, but this is like my big full coverage piece. This is Succubus. So this was so art is by Christopher Lovell, and it was charted by Unconventional XStitch, which right now Unconventional Cross Stitch is my favorite, or XStitch is my favorite. I believe, and I hope I'm not wrong, they do not chart AI generated images, which is great. We like to support real people and the art they are creating. This is 25 count gridded Zweigart Lugana. So I'm doing this 2/1 half cross. It is 518 by 700, so it is 362,600 stitches. I started this August 18th of 2024. I started the year with 4,061 stitches for about 1%, and I have since put in 7,392 stitches, so I'm at 11,453 stitches for 3.16%. And honestly, I haven't picked this up in so long that I still had a needle on there. Apparently I was like right in the middle of working on this when I decided to put it down, which is a little unlike me. So that was surprising. Right now I really only have the capability to work on one huge, gigantic full coverage at a time. So my focus is going towards Farewell to Lothlorien. But again, not too much really going on with this one yet. I did get the start of that horn in, which is exciting. I'm finally getting some more colors in here. This one just goes so much faster than my 1/1 full cross because this is half cross. So I'm my original goal was to do 10% every year that's like since I started. So because this was started last year, obviously I did not get 10% in the first year, so I was going to try to get 20% in this. Clearly I'm at 3%, so I don't think that's gonna happen, but I know that when I get to focus on this more, when someday Farewell to Lothlorien is done, I'm going to hit those percentage marks much quicker than I am with Farewell to Lothlorien. So that's just getting the most work on it because it's the farthest along, and I really, really want to see that one done someday. So that's the focus, but this one is starting to look like something. We're getting something in there. And okay, so because this is half cross, I am not feathering my edges. I'm just going straight down just because of how the differences between full cross and half cross pull the fabric. I am not anticipating getting lines on this one by doing that. I'm still, not fully going in hardcore within that line. But again, so far there are no lines in what I'm seeing. You can see slight lines in there, and that is only because I just took this out of the Q-snap that it's been sitting in for now 6 months. So that's all that is, which will go away eventually when I can wash and iron this someday. Oh yeah, so this one I'm also stitching a little bit differently. So I did my 10 by 10 block, but I'm going to go across the whole top of the piece before I come down and do, the block that would be attached to these flosses here. Just a different way I wanted to approach this one. Yeah. Okay, next up is a really pitiful start. So this one, how I handle Mill Hill buttons and beads kits. I am not craving a finish on them. They're purely because they're fun and easy to do. It's a full kit. Everything's in it that you need. I really like that. So I tend to not really worry about progress in. So I have one for each season. I don't have my Christmas one started yet, but the rest go on vacation when we're in that season. So if it was right now, I do one season for my spring summer ones. I don't have like separate ones for spring, separate one for summer. But once it gets to fall, I'm gonna switch over my like Mill Hill slot to this one, and that one will go on vacation till next spring. With that detail that you might not have needed, this is Ghost Town. So this is my fall piece. I started this one last year, October 18th, 2024, because I wanted something that was specifically Halloween. I have spooky stuff. I have like macabre stuff, right? Like that's kind of like the general aesthetic of how I decorate my house. But I didn't have anything that was specifically like Halloween. And this one kind of is. It's more Halloween than anything else I have. So this is my Halloween specific piece, and I really only want to work on this like on Halloween or like days leading up to Halloween. But the dimensions for this are 73 by 73. I think I only worked on this 2 days. Like I started October 18th and then I also worked on October 31st and that was it. And of course, no progress this year because we haven't hit Halloween yet. Yeah, that's it. So right, it's a Mill Hill buttons and beads. I've gotten a little bit in, right? I got enough in to work up towards the sky. That's how I prefer to work my pieces, especially in Mill Hill. You kind of have to start in the middle because of the frames that come with these. You can buy the Mill Hill frames that are specifically designed for these kits with the perfect dimensions for them. And you need to start in the middle so that it fits appropriately in that frame. So I do that, but I'm very much a top-down stitcher. So I start here and I immediately work my way up, which I have done. So next time I pick this up, actually, I think it's gonna be a lot easier to even stitch on, a lot less brain power that will have to go into it. So that is at a good spot to pick it up this Halloween. Which, I cannot wait for fall. I hate summer with a burning, flaming passion. Especially in Virginia. It's hell out there, so. Okay, so this one is also a weird one. So it's not technically a whip, but it is. So this is an ornament. This is part of the Christmas Village ornaments by by Dimensions Gold Collection. Art is by Brian Jenkins, I think is what the thing said. This is the only one that I'm actually doing on the fabric that came in the kit. And this is the only one I have done. I am treating these as individual starts and finishes. So like, this was finished last year. I started it and finished it within November of last year. Oh my God, it looks so good. God, this makes me want to do another one like immediately. But again, I try to only work on one dimensions kit at a time. And I'm busy. I'm doing other ones. So there are 6 of these little like petite ornaments in the overall kit. And this is the only one I've done. So there are still 5 more of these that I will hopefully get to someday. I'll come back to it. They're just so pretty. I mean, come on. Look at that detail. I'm obsessed. I love dimensions kits. They are complicated. They are, you know, they take a lot out of you, but they're so gorgeous. So gorgeous. Can never give them up. My stitching has changed quite a bit, you know, since I've started everything, but I can't imagine me ever stopping stitching on Dimensions Gold Collection kits or kits in general. There's just something so pleasing about them. I'm someone too who like, I have such a hard time starting things because making all of those decisions before I can just like sit down and stitch on it stresses me out. I know there are like serial starters out there and I'm so happy for you, but the idea of starting more than one thing at a time really stresses me out. So like if I'm gonna have multiple starts at a time, like it takes me like a month or two to like fully set them up and kit them up before I start them. Very few exceptions for like if it's something really tiny, which I have 2 of those from this year, but you know, crazy. I'm a little crazy and just generally full of anxiety. Next up was the Secret Grove SAL. So this was a stitch along by Needle Art Designs. This is the one that broke my rule of I only work on one design per designer at a time. However, I really wanted to start this and I didn't have the dragon done, but I started it anyway. This is her first stitch along, and that's why I knew, because it was her first stitch along. I really wanted to support her. I'm a part of her Ko-Fi. Like, I just love her designs. They are so unique to her. There's no back stitching. It is all full cross. The colors are immaculate. It reminds me of like Stardew Valley-esque, like cute video game style. So I really enjoy these. Again, not my like general aesthetic for other areas of my room, but I think this would go really well in our gaming room. just by my gaming computer or even just in my crafty room. But I just love it so much, and I haven't given you any details about it. I've just been ranting. This is on 36 count, French lilac. Picture this plus linen. That's another reason I love this. This linen color is possibly my favorite ever. It is such a deep, beautiful, lightly mottled purple. I'm just absolutely obsessed with it. This is 2/2. Everything is called for colors, I'll say. The finish dimensions of this are 15 inches tall by 6 inches wide. And I started this January 1st. So the stitch along actually did start, I want to say in November, but again, I was really busy with like gift stitching and gift other things. So I started this January 1st because I like to get all of my information that I stitched prior to January 1st in my WIP parade. And I don't think I actually filmed that until January 2nd. So I started this on January 1st so I could still stitch and still work on something without messing up my, what is it called? Like my metrics. So I did end up starting this January 1st, and it took me a while to catch up. I think I was like 3 or 4 behind at that point in time, but I obviously caught up. I finished maybe like a week or 2 after the final design came out, so I was pretty pleased with that. I didn't include many details from this here because this bottom part is completely different from what was charted. There initially was a frog in a jester hat here, and apparently I have a jester clown phobia, and I was like, I am not putting a jester on my wall. No, thank you. So I did make some changes. This badger here and some of this stuff was part of an extra release she did after the end of the SAL was done. So, you know, I swapped that out. I moved everything around. I talk about it. If you want more detail on that, I do go very much in depth on this project in particular in my floss tube number 12. And that'll have like all the stitch counts for the original, stitch count of what I did, and stitch count of like the extended version that she also came out with, as well as the stitch count for this separate piece that she had. But yeah, man, I love this one. It's so beautiful. And just dark and spooky and enchanted and lovely. Okay, so the next thing, so I started this one as part of a, we'll say start along. This was a start along hosted by Catherine Stitching Chronicles. She has a YouTube. She just hit 2K, which is very exciting. And, you know, she, of course, has come out with her WIP parade. The other person hosting that was Clancy's Creations on Instagram. And we all started Butterfly Bouquet by Sprouting Lupine. We started this a month before Valentine's Day. So I started this January 14th. Yep, that's a month before Valentine's Day of this year. Sprouting Lupine came out with this in January, and I'm not really like a pink girly. I'm much more purples and blues and greens, but I really love this one. It was kind of outside my comfort zone, so I was like, you know what, I have this pink fabric. I have no idea what else I'm going to use it for, so I used it for this. This fabric is a 36 count February fabric of the month from Live and Die LA. I was part of their fabric of the month for 5 or 6 months, and I just don't start that many things, so I had a very large. I was like, that's probably enough because I don't know what to do all this with all of this fabric now. All of the floss is called for, and dimensions of the chart are 166 by 166. It is 13,559 stitches. Plus there is back stitching in this. So that number is not completely correct because there are some adjustments you can make. Like right here will be the year. And then there's also a spot for initials. So, you know, those numbers are take it or leave it. But I've done 3,347 stitches so far this year. So we're very, very close to 25% of the stitches, which is exciting. And this part is definitely ghosting more on camera than it does in real life. which is good for me. Bad for my floss tube channel. So it's looking really good so far. And this is going to be coming out a lot this month because this is going to be my either daily 30 or stranded day stitching. I haven't quite decided what that's going to look like yet, but it'll be getting more progress on, which is very exciting. Again, I can't believe that I really love all these pinks in here. It's fun. It's just different. It's fun and different to work on, which sometimes you need, and I don't need everything to be the perfect thing for my aesthetic. I'm still gonna hang it up on the wall. I still really love it. It's just unexpected for me. Okay, so this finally, I'm getting to the stocking that I'm currently working on as part of my years-long endeavor to get everybody in my family stocking. My husband and I took this year off of the second stocking, but I do have the first stocking done. It was a Rosewood Manor. It is the Rosewood Manor. There's 2 Rosewood Manor stockings, as far as I know. Catch my brain up. I've been talking now for so long. So, I did Cranberry Row, and I will be doing Cranberry Pines next. But those are for us. I'm not doing the Dimensions Gold collection for us because we saw those ones in person and we just fell in love with them, and they really fit in with our like Gothic Victorian Christmas aesthetic. Whereas these ones don't quite, but they are gorgeous. Okay, so this one is Santa's Journey stocking. So this is for my older sister's husband. The art is by Peggy Abrams. Of course, Dimensions Gold collection, like I mentioned. I swapped out the fabric for a 36 count white linen instead of the 18 count Ida that was called for. Started this year. Again, there will be no previous pictures here going forward because everything else I started this year. And I started this on January 18th of 2025. I think I mentioned that. But I'm almost halfway with stitching. I got very, very behind in June with all of my traveling. So this one will hopefully get a ton of work on it in July, which is perfect for Christmas and July stitching. And trying to pretend like it is not 1,000,000 degrees outside and stitching some snow and Christmas. Dimensions for this are 186 by 286. Everything's called for so far. And it did take me a while to get into this one. Again, you start these and this is all one color. It was incredibly boring. And then you went into the very boring sky. But you know, we eventually made it into the tree, got into Santa himself. And now we're just working down Santa. And then we'll have a sleigh here and the ground. And this bottom portion is gonna go by so fast because it's not like full coverage down there. And if I save all the backstitching on these until the end, because I love the reveal of non-backstitched to backstitched dimensions kits is just impeccable. Because you think, oh man, that looks really good now. And then you put the backstitching in and you're like, how could that have looked how can it look even better now? So I love that. I love doing a side-by-side from non-backstitch to backstitch. You know, there are a couple beads in here. There's some metallic floss in here. So like up here, there's like strands and like beads that go across the top. So good. But yeah, again, that tree looks beautiful already. The colors in this, you can see here for what it's going to look like. The colors are a little bit brighter than what the cover image looked like they were going to be. So I'm hoping when I go in and put the backstitching in, it will tone down those colors a little bit because again, I want it to match the one that I've already done. And those colors are like a little bit deeper and richer rather than like brighter. But I mean, close enough, right? It's Christmassy, bright Christmassy colors and that'll be just fine. But for my own wish of what this is gonna look like, I wish it was a little bit richer. It's coming along. So much work left to do on him. I really, really want these done and fully finished this year. Fingers crossed. Again, they're the ones having the baby, so I don't know what I'm gonna do yet for that. I have ideas. We'll see. The next project is another finish, which is exciting. And my notebook is not staying open any longer. Okay. So we have, okay, so this is The Reluctant Sovereign by Quaternion Creations. Last year, Quaternion Creations, Maria, and a partner created a book. So it is a book full of stories that were written by the partner. I don't have it off the top of my head right now. It's called The Emerging Queendom. So for every design, there is a story that goes along with it. And she had it out on, it was like Indiegogo, I think was the website, but it's very similar to Kickstarter. And if you did that, you got the hardcover book, or whichever tier you did. So I did that and I got the book, and it is gorgeous. So I knew I had to stitch at least one thing out of it this year. So I chose this one and I put it on 32 count graceful gray witch old linen, which is, you know, very stiff. But one, you know, if you get it in the Q-snap and you work on it, it's really not, it's not dreadful. I wouldn't choose to work on it again, but this, I bought this to do my big long dog sampler, Templar Prophecy. And this is just using some of the leftovers, but everything was called for. I started this February 9th of this year and I finished it on April 1st. Finished dimensions are 6 3/4 inches by 7 1/4 inches. And it was 6,170 stitches. So 96 by 121. And I'm not really a yellow person either, but I really liked this one. And, you know, I had my husband help me choose one that I was going to start with. And this was the one we chose. Oh, it's so beautiful. I love Maria's stuff too. She has such a unique style as well. And they're so, I don't want to say simple because that's not simple, right? That is so intricate and amazing. But because it is one color, or in this case 2 colors or 3 colors, like very few colors, for me is really easy stitching. It was very simple and just like meditative to stitch. Again, the design itself is not simple. It is intricate and lovely. And I've seen so many people on Instagram do so many cool things with her designs using like a variegated floss or adding colors. Like I saw somebody recently who had like changed the color of this and changed the color of her hair, and they look so wonderful. It's just another little finish this year. Oh, this is a fully finish, actually. I do not have many of those, so this is very exciting. This is also one that came out, I saw it, and I started it and finished it that day, and I think I fully finished it the next day. So this is a design called Never Lose by Shaded Stitchery, and I believe she had it for like free on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which if you can think back to that, which feels like 100 years ago, that was a stressful day for many of us. And this sentiment, I don't normally stitch words either, but this one I was like, this is something that I do want to see at all times. So I started this February 14th, finished it February 14th, which might have been the day before Martin Luther King Day, actually, now that I think about it. But I think I fully finished it on that day. Either way, I was having feelings. I stitched this on 36 count Bramble by Picture This Plus Linen, and I used a Bestitch Me silk that I got in the Nice List box by, oh my gosh, what is it? Black Needle Society that I got in 2023, and the color is called Despair. The irony was not lost on me. I did not realize I had chosen a color called Despair until after I had finished. Okay, so this one, she did chart Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. across the bottom. I did leave that out. And this does say, we must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. Which I think is just an important thing to remember. And I finished it with just some scraps that I had of this really lovely floral fabric. So finished dimensions of mine is about 4 1/4 wide by 2 inches tall. And it's just a cute little pillow that resides on my bookshelf. And I will put that right back up here. And I'm knocking all of my things over. That's okay. So that'll sit back up there. Again, easy start and finish. Because it was one floss too, I didn't feel so much stress in kitting that up because, you know, relatively easy. This is my spring summer Mill Hill kit. So this is White Orchid. I started this on March 11th. This is 74 stitches by 74 stitches. So, you know, I've gotten all this done. And of course, where you see empty spaces, a lot of that's going to be beaded. This one is kind of hard to work on because it's such a big flower that there's not like an intuitive movement of like the colors. And because they're very similar colors for this white and the shading in the like white, light gray, it's been a bit more challenging than other Mill Hills that I have done. Not hard, just a bit more challenging. So when I took this on my trip, it was more mental energy than I really had during that big trip to put on this, so I didn't get much done. But it'll get done eventually. One strand at a time, and it's really pretty. My husband actually picked this out when we went to InStitches for the first time. A nice big orchid. And one piece of advice I do have for Mill Hill buttons and beads is do not pull your tension too tight because it's perforated paper. If you pull too tight, you can very clearly see the holes in the perforated paper through, like, especially if you have one color like this. It's a lesson I learned with my first one, which is this one. I'll show you what I mean quickly. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. Okay. So with this one, you can kind of see up here where I was pulling too tight compared to down here where I've really loosened up the tension on what I was doing. I didn't mean to show this one off, but hey, look at all those beads. This was the first Mill Hill I'd ever done. And I've only done one other one also. Oh, I'm sorry, Peanut. Just like kicked my dog. We're good. We're good. Ooh, this was another start and finish and quick kit up. So March 15th, because that's when I started it. Frizzy Lizzie Stitches, who has a floss tube, she came and she's designed a couple of patterns, I think, at this point. She put out this pattern, which I think really just spoke to so many of us in the crafty community. So immediately I started it and finished it. I think it took me 2 days actually, because I started it kind of late. And you'll see it's partly fully finished. So this is Crafty Goose. We'll start there. So it says she's a crafty girl. Okay, final dimensions of this were 3 inches by 2 inches tall. My goose does ghost a little bit, but I know he's there, so I don't really care. This is stitch 32 count, Over the Moon linen by Color and Cotton. And I used the called for the goose, and this pink is called Rosie, and this is called Sink or Swim by Bestitch Me. Those were also in the Black Needle Society's Nice List box of 2023. And for this little floral motif, I combined both of these colors to do that. So that is a blended thread. And I'm currently in the process of making this project bag. I have had this panel and the back panel done for a while, for months now. I just need to make it into a bag, and I have everything I need now. What paused me is I needed some fusible fleece to finish this. I got it a week later, and I have not picked it back up again. It'll get done someday. My intention was to use my She's a Crafty Girl Goose for my Extraordinary Birds stitch along. Obviously, that has not happened yet. Maybe before the stitch along is over. I don't know. Oh, that was about 400 stitches too. So very small, very easy to do in one sitting, or in my case, 2 sittings. Okay, this one is Moon Deer by Forest Embroidery. Not my farthest project along, but this is where we're at now. I started this on March 29th of 2025. I believe I started this during Lindy Stitch's, oh God, she has so many virtual events now. I have no idea what this one, Nash Dash Startathon, I believe was this one. I think so. She does 4 events now. She has one every quarter, I want to say. So we have Midsummer Stitch coming up soon. We have a fall one. And then there was Nash Dash Startathon. And then of course, Jingle Ball. I might be missing one. Either way. This is, I'm stitching this on 46 count Cream and Sugar by Fiber on a Whim. And I'm using the Forest Embroidery flosses. So the dimensions for this are 185 by 445. It's going to be very large, but the stitch count is only 28,147. It's gonna fill up pretty much a full fat quarter of 46 count linen, which is quite a bit. I just got a text, I'm sorry. I cannot focus. Okay. I've stitched 2,388 stitches, so we are at 8.48%, very close to our 10% mark. And this one is coming out for my WIP Go goal this month, so maybe we will hit 10% in July. That'd be really nice. But I've gotten all 4 colors in so far. So the purple, the yellow, the green, and that like greenish brown color for the borders. Love it. It's gonna be so beautiful. I got this one and another one that's kind of like in the same series by Forest. So beautiful. Okay, so next up are my 2 active stitch alongs. By active stitch alongs, I mean the ones that like are legitimate stitch alongs. They're releasing pieces either every week or every other week. Almost everyone at this point will have seen this one. This is the Extraordinary Birds stitch along. This is fully up to date, so I don't even need to include a picture for this one. I'm stitching this on 36 count Heather linen by Fiber on a Whim. It's a really nice purple, like a light dusty purple. All the called for, I'm stitching 2/2. Did I say LolaCrow cross stitch? I think I did. I started this April 6th, 2025. Dimensions are 181 by 226. I do not know what the final stitch count will be. We have 8 more releases, I believe, and the final release will be at the very end of August. And she has done one of these every year for the past. So this one, and then she has 3 others. I've done the last 2, but I didn't do the first one. So eventually I would like to get around to that one. And I think we're at 6 releases so far. So she does the first release is the frame, right? So all of this and these 2 birds were part of that release, and some of the plant life down here was part of that release. And then each release, so this was the first one, this was the second one, this was the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. And then these 2 birds were part of the 6th. So we got quite a few birds in so far. And it's coming along beautifully, like all of her pieces do. So one of the great things about LolaCrow's pieces, and why I do them on 36 count, is because they're very plush with the 2/2. And I think that really matches well with the style that she has going. So she does use backstitching, which I know is how she gets so much detail using so few stitches. So like this bird might only be like 20 stitches, but you can tell what he's doing up there, right? With not a ton, there's a ton of color changes, but not a ton of like actual stitches for each like piece as you move through it. And each release is about 1,000 stitches, usually a little bit under. And she releases once, like every single Friday with, I think there's like 2 breaks. It's a lot to keep up with. If you don't keep up with that one, do not beat yourself up about it. Because 1,000 stitches to do every week on one project can be a lot over time. It just can be. I just really like the challenge of it. That's all. It's like proving to myself that I can do it. And I love the finish. I haven't done anything with the finished pieces, but I really like having them. And I plan to do something with them eventually. I hope. Fingers crossed. The other stitch along I'm doing is by Quaternion Creations. This is the Burrow Tales SAL. One thing about me is I love a woodland creature, especially squirrels. I'm stitching this 1/2 40 count London Fog by Live and Die LA. The red and the green are just random flosses I have in stash, and it should take up this whole piece. She's releasing her pieces once every other week. I believe we have 7 more parts, and this will end October 15th. So you get a lot more time to do fewer stitches for the most part, and it's much simpler again because there's not a lot of color changes. Let's see. Dimensions for this are 159 by 210. Overall stitch count is going to be 14,122, and I started this on April 30th of this year. This part has been released. I have not finished it yet, but the next part doesn't come out until July 9th, so I have time. I am not behind yet. It's looking really good. This fabric also does not photograph well or film well, but it is like very lightly greeny blue gray. And obviously the gray is really the only thing that comes through on camera. But it's got more depth to it than that. Up next is another kit that I have started. So this is from Riolis. And I started this, yeah, because we've had 2 Lindy Stitches events. I started this at another Lindy Stitches event in May. So May 3rd. I, again, have no idea what this one was called. Either way, so this is called Cozy Autumn. It's by Riolis. It's using the wool acrylic floss. I do have another Riolis kit in my stash, but it's using Anchor floss, and I really wanted to try out this wool acrylic. I'm using the kit everything, so I'm using the 14 count Black Aida. Because of the wool acrylic, I didn't want to switch it up really at all, because it's obviously thicker. Dimensions for this chart are 100 by 130. It's not huge. Quite a few color changes though. I think I said I started on May 3rd. But yeah, so I really only worked on this for like 4 or 5 days, but I got quite a bit of progress in. I mean, you can see not super well, but there are some half stitches up at the top. And the colors are just really beautiful. And kind of shocking. Like there's this purple here, but it makes sense, even though it doesn't seem like it would. So I'm starting to work down this lantern. I was trying to get this like wind section done before I put it away, and I just didn't. Also, because there's so many color changes, I did choose to end up parking because I didn't want to end the floss because then the back would be so bulky in those areas, but I also didn't want to keep stitching because I wasn't 100% positive. I really only like to jump like 5 or 6 stitches like at a time that I feel confident in. Sometimes we'll get up to 10 on Ida, but still not confident. And I do have some of the books started here. So the wool acrylic, one thing I will say is it's nice to work with if you do not get too close to the stitches. So from any sort of distance, it looks stunning. The colors are beautiful. However, you will never get these to lay perfectly flat and beautiful. So if the stitching, like if the actual stitches and how they look is important to you, don't even bother trying the Riolis wool acrylic kits because you won't be happy. In fact, you'll be very unhappy because they look slightly messy, but they're so plush that like, I don't know if you can see that they're kind of messy, but it was a little frustrating at first, but then I was like, you just gotta let it go. It's not that big of a deal. And again, with any cross stitch piece, think about it. You need to take like 6 feet step back from it because nobody is pressing their nose to your finished piece, especially like if it's up on the wall or something. No one's doing that. And if they are, there are bigger issues at play there than your stitching. So don't worry about it. Something I had to tell myself. It's not a big deal. And it's gonna look so beautiful from that distance, like from any distance. Those colors are just so vibrant. Next piece was a quick start and finish. It was part of like my secret stitching. Before I had mentioned that my sister was having a baby and I was having a new little nephew. But I did want to make him something. I knit him a couple things that I shared in my last YouTube video or floss tube video. But this is the finished cross stitch piece. Obviously, this is now with his parents. We had his baby shower on June 21st, so pretty recently. I stitched this. This is by Need a Lot Designs because I love her. And this is a 32 count Smack the Jellyfish opalescent fabric linen by Live and Dye LA. It is so beautiful. The opalescent of that fabric is just so perfect. And the modeling, like very intense greens and purples, was really pretty. I did look at Live and Dye LA's website, and it seems like their Smack the Jellyfish colorway now has more blue in it. It's still beautiful, but it is slightly different. I stitched it 2/2, all the called for, except I did remove like the stars around it because the original design has the moon and it has the stars on the outside that make it into a square, like a full square finish, like you could put it in a square frame. But because I was doing it in the hoop, and I've seen so many people do this with this design in particular, is I just omitted those stars and put it in the hoop without it. So dimensions were 72 by 72, about 4.5 inches square. Started it on May 12th, finished it on May 31st. I did the bulk of the stitching on this in one day just to wrap it up, finish it up. And that's about it. I don't remember how many stitches it was. It wasn't a ton, couple thousand. I finished it in basically a day and a half, so it's doable depending on how many stitches you stitch in a day. But I can average like 1,000 plus a day on a really good day. Okay, last up, I think this is my last one. Let me double check. Yes, my last one. This was my birthday start this year. So I started this on May 12th, 2025. And this is Herb Garden by the Drawn Thread. This is on 36 count, April 2024 fabric of the month linen by Live and Dye LA. Well, that was a first. My camera died, and by camera, I mean my phone died. I had plenty of battery if I was filming a normal floss tube, Instead, I yapped for way longer than I usually do, and my phone died. I had about a heart attack for a second when it restarted and it didn't have the video. I thought I was gonna have to redo an hour and a half of footage. It got back, thank goodness. And in that time that it was charging, I got myself a coffee and some water. So I'm raring to go for this last and final whip. I can't believe it happened on the final one. It couldn't have held out for like 10 more minutes. Anyway, so I think I was just talking about the dimensions for this project. It is 295 by 44 stitches. So it's gonna be very short and very long. I have done I've done 1 out of 11 plants, and then there's also the bench. So there's like 12 like motifs. I mean, there's like the cat and stuff too in there, but yeah, it's looking really good. Looking really good in the sense that my lazy daisies are not absolutely terrible. They're not the best because it's the first time I've done a lazy daisy. And there are plenty of, what's the word? Specialty stitches in here. So far I've only done 4 full crosses. The rest is like backstitch, lazy daisies, and this is also backstitch. I can't remember where I got cut off, so I'll just say it again, but I'm stitching mainly called for in the sense that I'm not doing NPIs except 1 NPI. I'm doing the DMC conversion. And so far I've only used DMC. I think I used the dinky dyes for just the yellow center of the flowers, so I don't really know how that stitches up with yet, but I did really enjoy the Thread Gatherer Silken colors down here. And this, in like the words that are fully across the bottom. Oi, can you not lick yourself? You had like a 20-30 minute break. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I love this color fabric. Again, I have no idea what I said already, so this is probably very redundant, but it reminds me of like sunrise. And the color that was called for was like a very neutral, in my opinion, boring brown that didn't really help the design. Like, it didn't really showcase the design. So I had this sitting around, didn't know what else I was gonna do with it. It is, I do think I already said this, 36 count, April 2024, Live and Dye LA Fabric of the Month. It's so beautiful. It's like creamsicle with like pinks. It's so lovely. And I'll have a whole nother side if I decide to do another one. I wanna do all of the gardens that they have. I love these so much. I'm gonna try to keep my yapping down to a minimum for my additional clip here. But that is it. Those are the works in progress. I will be starting a new project today and possibly tomorrow. And at least this month, they'll both get started. And I talk about them in my last floss tube that I did on Friday. So I have yapped way longer than I have ever believed that I could possibly yap about cross stitch. So those are all of my whips, or works in progress, if you will, plus all of the things that I have finished and worked on this year. In my end of year whip parade, I will probably keep, either do like a separate finish parade, or obviously I don't know yet. We'll see how this goes, because there are like many ways you can organize your whip parade. I like going chronological, like full chronological. That makes my brain happy. But I know some people might not love that. That's okay. We're experimenting. We're experimenting here. And we'll see what I end up doing at the end of the year, because it does take a lot of work. Thought I heard my husband. I was like, oh, like a cat. It was like, I've been talking for too long. That is it. That is all I have for my mid-year whip update. I've gotten a lot of stitching done. Disclaimer, I work full-time from home. I have no kids. My husband and I are very good about like separate downtime, and even when we are like together, like watching TV or something, I am still stitching or like knitting or something. So like I get a lot of progress because I have a lot of free time. I don't get the most progress out of anybody I've ever seen on FlossTube, but I do get a significant amount, but that's because I have very few other responsibilities. So keep that in mind. And I have quite a few WIPs. I don't have as many WIPs as a lot of people do. And there is no shame either way. Stitch what makes you happy. And how I always end my videos is please do something for yourself today. Even if that's so much as sitting in silence and drinking a cup of coffee, and have the best day that is available to you. And I will see you next time for my next FlossTube update. Thanks for hanging around for this chonker of a video. And we will give a quick pup and cat update because they're both here. So we got the dog who's been sitting next to me this whole time. And of course, Diana. Yes, hello. It's usually just chaos. And we only have 2 pets. I don't know, man. Okay, bye! Actually, I wanted to add one more thing. If you are watching this, leave below what you stitched on. Or, you know, anything else. If you have a question or anything, let me know. I've tried to put as much information in here as I possibly could. I'm sure I missed something. And I guess that's all. Just let me know what you're stitching on. I'm always curious. I love WIP Parade season. I love it. I feel like you get so much about like watching somebody's FlossTube, like from beginning to end. You can just see how much work you've gotten done. I love the people, especially end of year, when they do like, oh, I watched so-and-so's video and like, this is how much progress I got done. Love that so much. I'm always so bad at it because I usually watch things at like 2 times speed. Although good luck to you if you're watching my 2 times speed because I talk fast, which means I've talked really a lot. Okay, I'm done. Bye.